Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to the new lecture. So in today's class, we will be continuing where we left off yesterday. So in last class, we discussed regarding the radiation pattern. So radiation pattern is nothing but it is a graphical representation of the radiation properties of an antenna, right? So how the electromagnetic waves travel around the space from the antenna. If you plot it in the form of a graph, then that pattern, that shape, we call it as radiation pattern. Graphical representation of a radiation properties of an antenna. It's not necessary that the figure should be always graphical. We can represent this graphical in the form of mathematical as well. So such mathematical function can also be called as an radiation pattern. So again in this, we have discussed that the radiation pattern can be plotted in three ways. First one is the field pattern. Second one is power pattern. And third one is same power pattern, but it will be in dB, in decibel scale. These two are in linear scale. This one will be in decimal scale. For example, this is a 10 element linear array antenna. These are the figures. So this is the normalized field pattern antenna in linear scale. This is how it looks like. If you plot the same in the form of power, power means just for every magnitude you will multiply by square. That is why you see the shape is reduced here, because we square it. The same values for this graph, you will just square. So that's the output field graph. This one will be known as power pattern. This will be in linear scale. If you apply the logarithm value for these values, what is the logarithm values? 10 log 10. 10 log base 10 of this particular field pattern values. For example, this value, this value, this value, this value. If you take all those points, these are all computer simulations, so we don't have to do much, but I'm just explaining how the computer calculates. So if you substitute those values in logarithm, you will get that in dB. This is how the graph look like. This is more in elaborated waveform. Okay. So, and next we have discussed regarding the half power beam width. What is the half power beam width? I hope I am recording the session. Just a minute. Let me check, because it will be useless if I don't record it. Oh, it's recording. Okay, fine. Okay, next is our half power beam width. See, half power beam width, it has three definitions based on the pattern. If it is a normalized field pattern, that is electromagnetic field pattern, only for electromagnetic magnitude. If there is a electromagnet, so not magnetic field, only electric field, if you know its magnitude, then half power beam width can be calculated when you equate that function, when you make it equal to 0.707 of its maximum value. So by that way, you can calculate the half power beam width. If you know the power value, in that case, you should equate it to 0.5. If it is in decibel, you should equate it to minus 3 dB. I think yesterday I asked a short quiz also based on this, right? Next, we have discussed the radiation pattern lobes. So whenever there is a radiation from an antenna, technically we have given some names for those radiation pattern. Wherever you see this major beam, any other Kabir radiation, so this one we call it as major lobe. So the one exactly, the lobe present exactly opposite to this, 180 degrees opposite to this one we call it as back lobe. Apart from major lobe and back lobe, whatever all the lobes are there, ay kullu kamil baki hada lobe. بس خلي هذا major lobe باقي هذا كامل lobe هذا ويش قالوا له هذا قالوا له minor lobes كامل هذا back lobe is also a minor lobe. Yesterday I asked this question that whether a side lobe is called as minor lobe or not. Yes, it is called as minor lobe because minor lobe it means side lobe plus black lobes, everything, all of them they together considered as minor lobes. But side lobe it means this is the lobes which is adjacent to the major lobe. The lobes which are present adjacent yani side موجود بس side फिल هذا major lobe هذا ويش قالوا له هذا side lobe. These are definitions and may be important in quiz point of view. Okay, so inshallah from next week on Monday you will do the quiz. It will be online. So you will be given 20 minutes. So for each question 2 minutes. So you have to log in during the class time itself. During the class time itself, you can log in and do the quiz online in the Moodle. Okay, it should be easy, inshallah. But make sure you take care of the time. It will be only 20 minutes. I will tell you the syllabus tomorrow, inshallah. We will see how much today we will cover. Okay, now let's continue. Radiation pattern for field regions. Okay, now so far we have seen how the electromagnetic waveforms travel in the space, right? So based on its distance, yani kem the distance rho the electromagnetic waves. Based on the distance, we have created 3 regions. There are 3 regions. So for example, this is my antenna in the center. If your radiation is present between this distance, this small circle here, you see small circle here, so idhar radiation mojud bas the circle. So that region we call it as reactive near field region. So what it is defined as? It is defined as the portion of the near field region immediately surrounding the antenna wherein the reactive field predominates. So basically, this is more maybe complex for you. The main thing here is whatever the radiation you see, which should be less than this distance. You see, there is a formula for this. How much radius? This distance R1 is equal to 0.62 square root of d cube by lambda. What is d here? D means dimensions of the antenna. Dimensions. If it is a dipole antenna, you will take the length. Length is your dimension like this. Lambda, it again depends on frequency, right? Lambda is equal to C by F. At which frequency you are using the antenna, you will get that lambda. So D means dimension of an antenna. We will see this more effectively when you do some examples. Once we go to the antenna type discussions, we will study wire antennas. We will design some array antennas. So in those cases, you will actually know what is this lambda, D and all that stuff. D means dimension, yani how much length is there. So if your radiation is less than this distance, that region we call it as reactive near field region. Khalas. As simple. Next region, what we call it as radiating near field region or Fresnel region. Yani hada. After reactive field region and above this we have far field. Whatever the region is present after Fresnel region, above this, yani whatever it is present after the Fresnel region, we call it as Fresnel region. There is a message. Where is chapter 1. Can't see. Why? If you go to Moodle, yeah, here, first one, lecture notes, chapter 1, introduction. Awal Mujud Ada Ithnin, chapter 2. So now I have uploaded up to chapter 3. Remaining 3 chapter I will be updating. Okay, once I finish them. I hope now you check it, right? Confirm me by message, please. Did you see it? Did you find it, Safa? It is in the Moodle, okay? Next. I think we lost all those annotations. So I was saying reactive field region is the region where the radiation is present less than this distance. After this, we have radiating near field region, also known as Fresnel region. So the region present between reactive near field region and far field region, because the region after Fresnel region is far field, yani outer space. This is all outer space, right? So this comes under far field region. So the region present between reactive near field region and far field region, we call it as Fresnel region. Okay. So what will be the distance? The distance, it should be between these two, yani 0.62 square root of d cube by lambda less than that region, let's say it as x, less than 2d square by lambda. If the radiation field is present in between this distance, that region we call it as Fresnel region. And the last one is far field region. So whatever the region present after this distance. So if the distance is greater than 2d square by lambda, okay, if R3 is greater than 2d square by lambda, that all region, that is the full outer space region, we call it as Fraunhofer or far field region. The another name for far field region is Fraunhofer region. Okay, so these are the 3 regions based on the radiation pattern classification. Okay, there is some more information on this. How does, for example, we have an parabolic antenna here, you can see its dimensions. So when it keeps radiating the electromagnetic waves, how does it look like in the regions? So if you carefully consider this distribution here, if you look at in the field distribution region, that is the reactive near field region, you can see the lobes, the radiation lobes, they are not clearly formed here, where in the near field region. But if you move on to Fresnel region, you can see they start to form clearly. Yani you can see this is the major lobe. There are side lobes, that is you have minor lobes and everything. But once it crosses to the far field region, Fraunhofer region, everything will be clear here. All the side lobes, major lobes, back lobes, everything will be much clearer in the far field region. Okay. Okay. Next topic is radian and steradian. This is also very important in the mathematical analysis in antenna design systems. Okay, so I hope you are already aware of this radian and steradian, but anyways, just recall them quickly. What is radian? Radian is defined as the plane angle with its vertex at the center of the circle of radius r that is subtended by an arc whose length is r. So to explain this here, please watch this figure here. So for example, we have a circle like this. In the center of the circle, to any point on the circumference, yani on any point here, we will measure the distance. That distance, for example, let us assume this is the point. So we will measure the distance. This distance we call it as radius r. Okay, how much distance is there? The same distance if you cut an arc. So how much distance is there? You measure that same distance on this surface of the sphere or the circle. The same distance, this distance we call it as radian. So this is known as 1 radian. You can see in the figure here, this is known as 1 radian. In this circle, how many radians will be there? Can you say? Can you think? So we know that the circumference, that is the circumference of the circle, is given by 2 pi r. Therefore, how many radians we have? If you divide by r, 2 pi r by r, we have 2 pi radians in one full circle, right? This is the basic mathematics. Maybe you study in primary schools. Anyways, you forget it, I know. So this is the quick recall. This is called radian. Next, see what is a steradian. So because this is useful in measuring the solid angle, because the radiation pattern, if you observe here, this is in 3-dimensional characteristics. When it is 3-dimensional characteristics, you need to have at least more than 2 angles, right, to measure it. 3-dimensional means you have 3 angles actually. Even if you want to draw the 2-dimensional one, you need to have 2 angles. So for that reason, we have to know how to calculate the solid angle. The unit of solid angle is steradian. So first of all, let's see what is a steradian. Steradian is defined as the solid angle with its vertex at the center of the sphere of radius r, that is subtended by a spherical surface area equal to that square with the side of length r. So which mean, same meaning, if you take one sphere here, okay, so it is the area of a circle. And how this area should be? This area should be equal to a square whose area which is equal to r square. For example, if you take this sphere, this is the center. From here, you will draw one circle or sphere. Sorry, not sphere. One circle on the surface. Okay. This area should be equal to the area of the square. And what should be the area of the square? We know that area of the square is nothing but length into breadth. But what should be this length? This length should be equal to r. And breadth also should be equal to r. So r multiplied by r square. So this area and this circle area should be equal. They should be same. So that area, we call it as, once you create that area, how much of angle is making between any 2 points? That angle we call it as 1 steradian. So that angle we call it as 1 steradian. Okay. So how many steradians will be there in the circle? It will be 4 pi. Okay, now if I want to calculate the area of the circle dA, it can be given by this formula. Infinitesimal area dA on the surface of the sphere of radius r is given by dA is equal to r square sine theta d theta d phi meter square. As I said, there are 2 angles at least minimum to cover the 2 sides. So it is equal to r square sine theta d theta d phi. So if I want to calculate the solid angle, we have to divide by r square, right? Divide the area by r square, you will get the solid angle. So r square sine theta d phi by r square, you will get sine theta d theta d phi. Steradian, this unit solid angle will be steradian. These are some standard formulas which we will be using in our analysis of finding the parameters. Okay. Please remember these 2 rules. Or if you want, because this course has lot of rules, So maybe I will give you in exam point of view, maybe I will give it in the form of a appendix, okay? If it is necessary, or maybe in the question itself, I will give you the rule, which should be useful in solving that question. Okay, now let's solve one example here based on what we discussed. For a sphere of radius r, find the solid angle omega a. This is the solid angle representation of a spherical cap on the surface of the sphere over the North Pole region defined by a spherical angles of, okay, some angles are, that is the value of theta is given, that is present between 0 to 30 degrees. The value of 5 is also given, 0 to 180 degrees. Refer to figures 2.1 and 2.10. Actually, this is from the book. You can go to the book and look at these figures. However, I have drawn it for you here. These two are those figures. This is one figure. 2.10, it is somewhere else. I don't have it, but that is also basically the radiation pattern. It looks like this 3D radiation pattern. So for a sphere, find the solid angle exactly. Yani using an exact correct equation you need to find. And second one, they are also giving us one approximation here. That solid angle is nearly equal to, this is the symbol for half power beam width, although you have not aware of it, but just for this example, just look at it. If you multiply two half power beam widths, then it should be equal to the solid angle. This is what they are saying. So first you calculate using the exact equation, then you calculate using this approximation. So first let us look at the exact equation, how to calculate the solid angle. We know the formula, solid angle is equal to d omega is equal to sine theta d theta d phi. Before I proceed, can you just please confirm me if you are understanding so far or you have any questions? Can you quickly confirm me if you have any questions, please? Okay, thank you. So we are calculating here solid angle. The formula to calculate the solid angle d omega is equal to sine theta d theta d phi. So if I want to do the solid angle formula is just sigma, this omega here. This is the differentiation part. Other differentiation part. If I send this differentiation to the right side, you know the basic rules in differentiation and integration. If you send the differentiation to the right side, it will become integral, right? Since there are two angles here which we are derivating, we have two integral here. So sine theta d theta and d phi. So solid angle exact equation, it will be equal to this rule, double integral sine theta d theta d phi. Now the limits of d theta and phi, they are given in the question. The limits of theta is where from 0 to 30, and for phi this is from 0 to 180 degrees. So 0 to 30 and 0 to 180 degrees. Yani if you solve this equation, you should get the solid angle, which is the exact manner. Let's see the solution here. Okay, using this equation, which I just derived now, using this equation, I can write solid angle is equal to integral 0 to 360. 360? 360. Okay, I think there is a mistake here, please. In the question, please change this 180 to 360. If you want to keep it 180, it's okay. You can just, the answer will be a little bit different. But since the solution is done using 360, I will change the question here. 5 angle is 360. 0 to 360. 0 to 30, d omega. D omega value we know already, that is sine theta, d theta, d phi. Substitute that value here. 30 degrees can be written as pi by 6. I mean, you can just solve this integration here. Integral of sine theta, d theta, d phi. So wherever the angle is between 0 to 30 degrees, keep that part separate. And for phi angle, take it this side. So what we get, 0 to 2 pi d phi, again 0 to pi by 6 means 30 degrees, sine theta d theta. Solve this part. Integral of, this is a constant, 0 to 2 pi 1 d phi. I can write it like this. If I do the integration for this, it will become phi, because 1 is a constant. Integral of 1 d phi is phi itself. And what will be the limits? 0 to 2 pi. Substitute the value of 2 pi in place of pi. What do we get? 2 pi minus 0. 2 pi minus 0. There is no value for this. So the final answer, it will be 2 pi. So here you have 2 pi for this function only. Similarly, now you calculate for this function. Integral 0 to 30 sine theta d theta. What is the integral of sine theta? Anyone? I hope you are all good in maths. Integral of sine theta, please. Integral of sine theta should be minus cos theta. So therefore, minus cos theta, and what will be the angle? 0 to 30 degrees. So substitute this using your calculator. So minus cos, how much? 30 degrees, right? Minus cos 30 degrees. Its value is minus 0.866, which I think we already have it. You can see here, minus 0.866 something. Next, minus cos, minus of minus, you have cos plus cos 0. Cos 0 is 1. So what we get? Minus 0.867 plus 1. So if you solve this expression, we will get around 0.83566. This is the solid angle for that question. Exact, using exact equation. But they also asked us to find out using this approximation, where this symbol, what you are seeing here, this is known as half power beam width. I hope you have known already this one. When you cross multiply the half power beam widths, if the radiation pattern is symmetrical in nature, if you cross multiply them in both the planes, that is horizontal plane and vertical plane, that is theta plane and phi plane. If you cross multiply them, then it should be equal to solid angle, which is the approximated value. So here we will assume, because you have seen this figure here, yeah, this is same, something looks like this. So you have one horizontal plane like this. Whatever the angle you have here, half power beam width, that is known as theta 1r. In vertical plane also you will have another one like this, that is theta r2. If you multiply both of them, that will give you solid angle. Here we will assume only, just it's an assumption here, because in the question they should clearly specify what should we take these values. They did not specify. So here, based on this radiation pattern, I assume that the half power beam width in each orthogonal plane is 60 degrees. So I will assume it as pi by 3. This is my assumption. But in exam point of view, if I ask, I will give you the value also. Here they have taken as assumption, because they said in the question, watch that figure. From the figure, they have taken this value. So pi by 3, if you multiply both of them, it will be pi square by 9, which will be 1.09. But you can see there is a difference between the exact value and the approximated value. There is a small difference. How much is the difference? 31.2123% is the error. Okay, I hope you know how to calculate the error. 1.09 minus 0.835 by 1.09. If you do this and multiply by 100, you will get this error value. This is a simple example of how to calculate the solid angle, and the unit for this is steradian. Okay. Next topic here is very important. This is known as beam width. I think beam width already we have studied this. I mean half power beam width. Already we have seen this in maybe start of the class. In yesterday's class also I explained you the 3 definitions. Right? This is the 3 definitions for half power beam width here. So first of all, let's see what is a beam width. Beam width is defined as the angular separation between 2 identical points on opposite side of the pattern maximum. So for example, if I take this point, you see here, if I take this point and this point, this is the radiation pattern axis, that is the maximum axis, up to 1, is going up to 1 magnitude. If I take any 2 points, how much is the angular separation? Angular distance between the 2 identical points. That angular distance or angle, we call it as half power beam width. This is the definition. According to IEEE, the definition, it states that in a plane containing the direction of the maximum beam, the angle between the 2 directions in which the radiation intensity is 1/2 value of the beam. So if you consider the power pattern, I already said that half of the maximum value. What is the maximum here? 1. Half means it will be 0.5. So that 0.5, where are those 2 points? How much of angle is there between those 0.5 2 points? That angle we call it as half power beam width, if it is a power pattern. If it is an electrical field pattern, then you will take how much? 1 by root 2. You remember? 0.707. If it is the power pattern is in dB, then you will take minus 3 dB. And what is full null beam width? Full null beam width, it is nothing but the angular separation between the first nulls of the pattern. In other words, I can say that half power beam width I can say that full null beam width FNBW is approximately equal to half power beam width multiplied by 2, twice that of half power beam width. In other words, separation between the first nulls. So this is, you have to draw two straight lines like this, and between them, how much angle is there? That is known as full null beam width. You can see in the figure as shown here. However, it's very easy to calculate half power beam width. It will be approximately equal to twice that of half power beam width. Approximately, not exactly. So why we need to understand this beam width? Because it is very important. A figure of merit, it helps us to understand the level of side lobes. Because when there is radiation, when the antenna radiates, when it starts to transmit the electromagnetic waves, ideally we should not get any side lobes. But in practical life, that is not possible. You will have side lobes. But ideally, it should not have side lobes. But if there are side lobes, you can actually calculate them by calculating the beam width. So it says that is the beam width. Beam width is inversely proportional to the side lobe level ratio, SSB. So if the beam width value is very high, that means there is very less side lobe level. If the angle beam width is very high, the side lobe level ratios is very less. Opposite to this is if beam width value is very less, then you have very side lobe level ratio. That means there is more loss of electromagnetic waves. So please keep this relation in mind, that bandwidth is inversely proportional to side lobe beam width, not bandwidth. Beam width is inversely proportional to side lobe level ratio. Okay, next let us see practically from the mathematical equation, how can we calculate the beam width? The normalized radiation intensity. Okay, I think you are not aware of what the radiation intensity is. I will explain you now. Normalized radiation intensity of an antenna is represented by this equation, cos square theta into cos square 3 theta. Angles are given 90 to 360. Okay, they are saying you can go and find this figure from the book if you want to see those 3 and 2-dimensional plot. Already this is the 2-dimensional plot I have drawn here. This is the 2D. 3D if you want, you can go and look in the book. So we have to calculate half power beam width, and we also have to calculate first null beam width. Before we go into that, first let us see what is radiation intensity. Radiation intensity is nothing but it is defined by U, which is equal to R square multiplied by the power radiated. So in other words, to explain this, for example, if there is a radiation pattern like this, this is my axis. You have some side lobes here. Let us assume like this. So if you take an area in this radiation pattern, how much of power is associated in this area? In the radiation pattern, if you take some area, inside this area, how much of power is present? Any power of those electromagnetic waves. How can you calculate the power of electromagnetic waves? By the Poynting theorem, if you remember, from electromagnetic theory 2. Poynting theorem it will help you to calculate the power of an electromagnetic waveform, right? So how you can calculate that power? P is equal to magnitude of the electric field waveform multiplied by the magnitude of the magnetic field waveform. So if you multiply both of them, then you will get that power. Radiation density or intensity, it means how much of this power is present in a given area of a radiation pattern. For example, if I take this area, you have more power here, right? You have more area here. That's why you have more radiation intensity in this area. So if you go for higher distance, this power level gets reduced here, right? So that value, that U is represented here by this mathematical function here. This W is nothing but this one, Poynting vector. If you multiply by the radius, how much distance, that is known as your radiation intensity, which is represented by U. U is equal to cos square theta, cos square 3 theta. Theta value is given 90 and phi value is given 360. But from this mathematical equation, you can clearly know that the radiation is only along the theta direction. Even though there is phi direction is given, from the mathematical equation here, do you see any phi value, phi here? Mafi phi mojud hina. Yani hina mafi radius, fill 5 axis direction. So let us say this is my theta direction. Let us say this is my phi direction. So the radiation is only in theta direction. Ma mojud fill phi direction. So, and what is the radiation angle here? It is between 0 to 90 degrees. Okay, 0 to 90 degrees. That is the maximum. It will go up to 90 degrees. Okay, now here for this function, we need to calculate the half power beam width and next full power beam width. Okay, we can do that. But first, remember the definition. Awwal fikr wish for the definition. If you know the power level, power intensity, we know that half power beam width value is equal to how much? It will be equal to 0.5 from the definition. We have seen this from the definition here. If the power pattern is given in linear cell, that is equal to 0.5 of its maximum value. So this value should be equal to 0.5. So in order, since you have two angles here, this theta you have 2 times here, we will find this theta by iteration method. I will show you what is this iteration method. Please listen carefully, this iteration method. It is better to have calculator with you also now. So first of all, let me assume that half power, this angle, let me assume I am calculating at half power beam width. Let me replace it with theta h. So cos square theta into cos square 3 theta is equal to 0.5. Okay, cos, according to the definition, cos square theta, cos square, according to the definition, 3 theta. If you know the power level, then if you equate it 0.5 value, then we will get the half power beam width angle. So however, there is square here, right? If you send the square to this side, what it will become? Cos square theta, cos square 3 theta is equal to square root of 0.5. Square root of 0.5, we will get around 0.707. But I just need this angle theta h here. So cos 3 theta h, I will send to the right side. It will become 0.707 by cos 3 theta h. If you send the cos to that side, it will become cos inverse. Now I need to find this theta value by the iteration method. What is this iteration method? So please take your calculator. Write down this function like this. Cos inverse 0.707 divided by again cos cos 3 here we have to take theta. Now try to maintain one table here. For example, if I give 10 degrees here, for example, see what answer you get here. So if I apply a value of 10 degrees, I am getting around 35.27. So now iteration method is nothing but whatever value you put here, you substitute here. You put here 10, right? But answer is how much? 35 degrees. Put an angle like this. If I substitute theta value 10 degrees, I am getting the output angle at 35 degrees, 0.5 something, which shows that both of them, they are not equal. So this is not the right angle. So we have to do it for more iterations. You have to do for more iterations. So for example, now I change the value to 20 degrees, for example. Oh, there is an error. If you get an error, try to reduce the value. That means that function is going out of the values. Try to give 18, still error. So try to reduce it more. 17, still error. Try to reduce it to 16, still error. 15. Okay, now you can see how much we get at 15. We are getting around 0.99. So once I apply 10 degrees, it was 35. If I apply 15, it is going 0.99. So that means the answer should be between 10 to 15 degrees. So just let me quickly write it here. If I raise it to 15 degrees, the value is going around 0.99. So the actual angle should be present somewhere between 10 to 15 degrees. So now again, you have to solve it for more. You have to find the value until both the angles are equal. So now, for example, I will give 14 here. See what we will get. Okay, you can see now 14. If you give 14, it is coming 17. 14 and 17 means they are nearly equal. So you can go for more iterations. For example, 14.1. See how much? Okay, you get 17. Increase it more. 14.2, 16. See, it's decreasing. So you have to increase this one more. 14.3. No. 14.4. Okay, now you can see the angle here, 14.4 and 14.1. They are almost same. They are almost same. If you want to be more precise, you can again find out, let's say, now the answer it's between 3 to 4. So here you can give like this. For example, 3, 4, check how much, 14.75. You can give 3, 6, 14.45. Or maybe you can give 3, 8 to get more exact value. 3, 8, see, it says crossing more now. So that means it should be 3, 7, between 3, 7, something like this. But anyways, even if you reach to this point, it is okay for me. So 14.3 something is the angle. As you can see here, theta h, the answer is 14.325 to be exact. If you substitute this value, you can see that. It's almost nearly equal. So 14.3 is your angle theta. But there are two cosine functions here, right? This is symmetry in nature. You have two cosine function. So you have to multiply by 2. Total half power beam width will be equal to, since we have two symmetry, two functions here, you will multiply by 2. 2 into 14.325, you will get 28.65 degrees. Okay. This is how you calculate the half power beam width. I know it's somewhat complex, but if you do some practice, inshallah, you will be able to solve it. I will give you an assignment on this, inshallah. Okay, next. Next, we have to calculate the full null beam width. I already said full null beam width is almost approximately twice that of half power beam width. If I get 28.65, if you multiply by 2, then whatever answer you get, that is your full null beam width. You can write that way also, but if you want to calculate more exactly, this is how you do it. Full null beam width is nothing but you will equate that to 0. You will equate that equation to 0. So here you have two solutions here. Cos square 0 is equal to 0. So theta will be equal to cos inverse 0. Cos inverse 0 means 90 degrees. This is one solution. Second solution, you have cos square 3 theta is equal to 0. Theta will be equal to 1 by 3 into cos inverse of 0. Cos inverse 0 is 90 degrees. 90 by 3 is, cos inverse 0 is 90. Okay, 90 by 3 is 30 degrees. So whatever the angle you get, the smaller one, that one will lead you to the full null beam width. Since there are two functions here, again you will multiply by 2. 2 multiply by 30, you will get 60. However, you can see this is not exact multiplication twice that of half power beam width. 28.65, if you multiply 2 times, 28.65, if you multiply by 2 times, it will be around 57.3. This is the approximate value. But actual value, if you want to calculate, you can calculate like this. But you can see there is not much difference. 57.3 and 60, there is not much difference. Okay, this is how we calculate half power beam width or full null beam width for a radiation pattern given in a mathematical form. Okay, this is regarding the beam width. The next topic is directivity. So I hope so far it's clear. Is there any questions, please? Hi, Sawal Shabab. Okay, I will take that as no. Next, directivity. This is also another important parameter of an antenna. Directivity of an antenna, it is defined as, excuse me. Directivity of an antenna, it is defined as the ratio of the radiation intensity in a given direction from the antenna to the radiation intensity averaged over all directions, which means an isotropic antenna. So directivity, it means it is equal to radiation intensity in a given direction. For example, to explain this in more clearer way, let us take one isotropic antenna. I will take one antenna. What is an isotropic antenna? Isotropic antenna is an antenna which radiates the electromagnetic waves in all directions, like in a circle, which in real life it's not possible. This is just a hypothetical assumption. This is just an assumption. So any antenna, if it is radiating around 360 degrees, that one we call it as isotropic antenna. This one we will take this as a reference. For example, if I take another antenna, which is a dipole antenna, let us assume this is radiating in only phi direction, only one horizontal plane. So therefore, the radiation intensity in that direction, phi direction, U by total radiation in all the direction, radiation intensity in all the direction. If you divide this ratio, that will give you directivity. Since U naught, again, since U naught can be written as total power radiated by 4 pi. This is the formula for radiation intensity of an isotropic antenna. For this antenna, this is an isotropic antenna. Four pi, this is the circle. So U naught equal to total power radiated by 4 pi. This will give you the radiation intensity of an isotropic antenna. If you want only one particular direction, let us assume it as U. So U naught, if you substitute this formula in this equation, what we get? P radiated by 4 pi. 4 pi, if you take it to the numerator, it will become 4 pi U by P radiated. If when you are calculating the directivity and they did not give any specific direction, you are taking some particular direction, then we use this formula. Usually practical cases, you always have one major lobe like this. One major lobe like this. So in this major lobe, you know the direction. This is the maximum direction, right? So we will directly take this maximum direction region. So therefore, we will just modify the equation here. Radiation intensity at the maximum direction, U maximum by radiation intensity of an isotropic antenna. So the formula is same, just you will have U max here. U max means radiation intensity, maximum radiation intensity. That's it. Okay, and remember, directivity has no dimensions, yani it has no units, MUFI units, dimensions. For radiation intensity, you have the units, watt per unit solid angle, watt per unit solid angle. Power, for power, the unit is watt. I think you already know this. This is the definition for directivity. Now let's see an example for this. To understand that, find the maximum directivity of an antenna whose radiation intensity is given. Yes. Oh, yes. As an illustration, find the maximum directivity of an antenna whose radiation intensity is given, which is equal to A naught sine theta. Write an expression for the directivity as a function of angles theta and phi. Okay, U value is given already. We need to calculate directivity D. We know the formula for that. D is equal to 4 pi U by P radiated. But we have to calculate what is P radiated. Okay, in order to show you this one, it needs some time. So I think it's better we do it in the next class. There is a formula how to calculate the P radiation. Before I stop, let me just give you the idea of that formula. Total power radiated can be calculated by this equation. This is how you can calculate total radiated power. As you can see here, if you integrate radiation intensity over a surface areas or over a solid angle. If you integrate the radiation intensity over the solid angle, then you will get the total radiated power. So what the limits are given, 0 to pi is for theta and 0 to 360. D omega we know already, sine theta d theta d phi, u is equal to u. So this is the formula to calculate the P radiated. If I want to calculate the P radiated for this one, I have to substitute all of them. U equal to R square omega radiated. This is equal to A naught sine theta, right? So U value you will substitute A naught sine theta in this equation. Here in the main equation here, you will substitute A naught sine theta because this value is given in the question. Other mujud fil sawal. So AU equal to A naught sine theta. So substitute A naught sine theta in place of U here. What we get? We will get A naught is a constant. You can take it outside. Integral 0 to 2 pi. Integral 0 to pi. Already you have one sine theta here. You have another sine theta here. Multiply both of them. What we will get? Sine square theta d theta d phi. If you solve this integration, it should be equal to pi square A naught. I hope you know how to solve this integration. There is a question or what? Yes. Okay, do one thing, try to solve this by yourself. Take the help of internet if you don't know how to solve. Integral of sine square theta d theta d phi. If you still cannot solve it, let me know tomorrow. I will try to help you, inshallah. Okay, let's see, there is some question. Are you recording the video? Yes, all the videos are there in the Moodle. You cannot see, they are all recorded. They are available.
دكتور no ما في فيديو انت موديل.
لا في. شوف إذا روح في الموديل مثلا lecture 1 إذا اكتب هنا lecture 1.
ما في يفصل. No exit in the model.
Look, see, now see, you see my screen now, right? الحين أنت شوف أنا screen صح? Computer screen.
Yes.
Okay, now I press lecture 1 here, for example. Okay, now what you do, you choose join on the web instead. Okay, let's say press join now. Or just close this because this is already finished. See, this is already finished. Now you can see here, video is there. All the recorded video is there. If I play this, see في موجود. See, video, everything is there, explanation. Maybe you don't know how to see the video, just you have to go here. See, I show you one more time. Go to Moodle. Go to Moodle here. Then you need to go to the course. For example, you want to see lecture 2 video. You want to see lecture 2 video. Press on this lecture 2. Continue on the browser. Just close this because this lecture already finished. Close. You see there is a video already for that lecture. It's recorded here. If you play this, You can watch all the session. It's recorded. Now also we are recording all of this thing. So if I stop this video will be available there in the lecture 3. You can again replay it and watch it how many times you want. Now clear? It's okay now? Clear? Fahmi, Shabab?
Doctor, no understand.
ما في شوف هذا فيديو موجود لا اي ليكتشر موجود فيديو.
I will try, Doctor. I will try.
Okay, watch this video now. I stop recording. Okay, enough for today. Okay.
Okay.
I will stop recording this video. This video will be there after some time, maybe after 10 minutes. The video will be saved here. Same. If you play the video, it will start playing. That's it. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. Have a nice day. See you later in tomorrow's class. Assalam.